We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community.
We are live. Thank you, Chris, for joining us today. We're excited you're here.
Oh, thank you both so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful day outside, sunny, perfect timing for a pale person to just sit inside and do a podcast. So
exactly. You and me both. All of us, I guess.
Is it cold there in Atlanta?
It's freezing. It's not fair. I feel like complaining on Twitter. I'm just not sure to whom.
Just do it for Twitter, the world, everyone. Just do it.
Out there.
It's sunny and
it's weirdly freezing.
we got that belongs to you guys.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well,
Chris, thanks so much for joining us, and we could dive in here. But one thing, I actually don't know how you even found Community Bucket. So maybe you could start by just introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about you, but more specifically, the journey to Community Bucket, how you first found us, found the organization, and what that's been like for you so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was initially pulled into the whole Community Bucket ecosphere, I would guess around 2016 or 2017, when a friend of mine said, I try to keep a nice close-knit network of folks who value philanthropy and volunteering. That's where I've just found the best people. And I think it was my friend Haley said, hey, would you like to do this Community Bucket event with me this weekend? And I thought, is this like we take a bucket to the community, or the community already has the bucket? And I just remember it was everything that I had wanted from a community philanthropy type event in Atlanta. Because even though I grew up here, all of my friends have moved over to other states. And I also lived in Wisconsin out of college. So I came back and ironically kind of had to start from the ground up social wise. So I'm at the first Community Bucket thing. I think, okay, I'm surrounded by young, volunteer driven millennials who are all just having a good time in the sunshine. This is what I've wanted from a volunteering event this whole time. So there's something to this concept.
Do you remember what the first event was?
I was afraid you're going to ask me that. I honestly don't remember specifically what it was. I know it wasn't MedShare. I think we were working outside in a garden. It might have been Concrete Jungle if we were with them that early.
Okay.
We were. Yeah. They were an early partner. So it would have been, we were for sure working with them.
And then, so you came to that first event, and then I know you joined our host team. Maybe just tell us a little bit about your progression from new volunteer who thought we were filling buckets for people to where you are now.
Yeah, again, I think I'm proud to say I've got experience with a lot of local nonprofits, Habitat, Trees Atlanta, hands-on. But what really struck me about Community Bucket and why I felt compelled to commit myself further within Community Bucket, become a host team captain, and eventually lead Tech Gives Back was it really solves two problems at once. The first is, how can we create more awareness around these smaller local nonprofits that may not actually have the local clout or the PR team of a larger national nonprofit like Habitat? Because not all nonprofits are made equal. Not all have even remotely the same promotional budget. That's problem number one. And problem number two was, at some point in their post-college career, young people have asked themselves, I'm in a city surrounded by people, but how do I make friends as an adult? And I used to ask myself that question a lot. And now I answer that question. And the answer is, come to the next CB event, because that's where I've met my longest standing friends.
When you tell that to people, do they think you're just using your initials, like come to the next CB event?
It's actually a speakeasy named after me. It's only open twice a year during eclipses.
There you go. So tell us you, as I recall, did you meet your girlfriend at Community Bucket?
Yes, I did. I remember you distinctly saying it's our personal promise that you will meet your significant other at CB, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure, and then I did. So, thank you for that. And I'm pretty sure that's still a thing, right?
Yeah. We never. We unofficially say, yeah, this is like a better than a dating app, I think.
But yeah, in all seriousness, it really is. It's natural that you have a lot of wonderful people that it takes a special kind of, yes, I'll wake up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday after an exhausting week to go volunteer. And when you put enough of those people together, there's going to be some natural chemistry, platonic or otherwise. And I was leading an event in May. It was May 19th of 2019. I remember because it was shortly before our anniversary. And it was called Cafe 458. It's this small little cafe in East Atlanta. And the way it operates is the manager and the cook are the only staff members. Everyone else are first-time volunteers. I personally have never had a service job like that before. So even as the team captain, I was a little out of my comfort zone. But one thing I know when you go on to, when you lead volunteering events, I've learned that when they ask for roles, for ideas, you take the worst role that's out there. You let the other volunteers take what they'd like so they're happy, and you take whatever's left. So who would like to be a server? Oh, yeah. Who would like to assist the cook? Oh, yeah. Who would like to help cook? And finally, at the bottom of the barrel was who wants to pour drinks? I'm like, all right, some pouring drinks. This tap on my shoulder, and I turn around. She goes, "Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry. I'm late. Is there a job I could do?" And I just see this gorgeous, sweet woman, and without even thinking, I just say, "You're on drink duty." And so we and I genuinely needed help for drink duty, so it wasn't just an abuse of power, but so we worked on drinks and really hit it off. And the event was a success. Lots of happy customers, happy cook, happy manager, and we're coming up on our second anniversary.
That is exciting. It's always good to hear, especially this will be live in May at some point. So you're probably right close to May 19th as people are listening. So that's exciting. And we can put a link in the show notes to Cafe 456. I'm not sure during COVID if 458. Yeah, I don't know if they're actually operating during COVID. So we'll kind of follow up on that. But hopefully maybe you can go back for a service event, an anniversary pour. I don't know. So yeah, that's exciting. I guess one question I'd love to know is, since you're sharing a little bit about your personal life, can you tell us just what you do professionally outside and maybe personally outside of Bucket? What are some of your passions, et cetera, but also professionally, so that our folks can kind of know a little bit more about you and, how that powers you to do Bucket?
Sure. So I have 3 professional focuses right now. The first is, of course, leading TedXPAC. The second is I am a freelance writer. Personally, right now I'm writing for Money Under 30. It's like Forbes, but specifically personal finance advice for young people and millennials. So I publish a couple articles a week for them. And I'm also a professional speaker through the agency CAMPUSPEAK. So I travel around the country and speak on college campuses on topics of leadership, happiness, and mental health.
Nice. That's exciting. I actually do think maybe you can tell us a little bit more. You helped me and maybe others with the car insurance help, right? Like that was one, it kind of associated, but do you get to choose your topics, or how does that kind of work?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, in my mid-20s, I became extremely passionate about frugality and getting my personal finances in order, and started writing for Money Under 30. And specifically with the insurance piece, I think that's perhaps the lowest hanging fruit for young people to save money, is to go find another quote, 5 more quotes for your car insurance right now. It'll take you 15 minutes and I promise you'll get a better offer out there. You can get quotes on websites in 3 minutes and save $200 every policy period, $400 a year times 5 years. It's $2,000. So yeah,
That seems very straightforward and easy, but I like that, you've got these. I never would have thought, we were having a casual conversation about it, and I love that you had easily sent me this article. I think it was just really helpful, and I liked that you had these kind of other passions that you've been able to do professionally, it sounds like, as well. And another little thing I've heard about, speaking of passions, is did you recently, or have you renovated or kind of redone or rebuilt a Miata? Something, is that one of your passions I've heard about? Am I hearing this correctly?
That generally, I try to build my brand around helping young people, but this was an entirely selfish endeavor. I paid $1,000 for my friend's old beat up Miata, and I slowly it drove. I mean, mechanically it was fine. It didn't explode, but every tiny little thing, it was sort of a death by 1,000 cuts. This window didn't go up. The shifter didn't always shift, and it was just a little messy. So the past 2 years, I've just been watching YouTube tutorials, becoming an amateur mechanic. The pandemic, the stay-at-home orders were a perfect opportunity for me to just get myself covered in grease and oil and rebuild this tiny little Japanese toy car from the ground up. And it's been immensely rewarding because it's just a fun, goofy little go-kart. And people always smile when they see my 6'3" frame get out, try to fit in it at Publix. And it's brought tremendous amount of joy to my life.
That's exciting. Well, speaking of joy, I'm sure that rebuilding cars isn't the only thing you're doing these days for fun. What are some other things you do for fun, either, personally, but just what brings you a lot of joy right now?
Sure. Definitely my girlfriend. Holly has just been my rock throughout this whole pandemic situation, and I hers, and it's been really nice getting to know her family. And then, of course, my dog, Joy, who I just noticed is somehow wandering around in the front yard, but I think she'll be fine. She doesn't really stray too far from home. And yeah, I'd say between keeping Holly happy and playing with Joy and keeping my Miata from exploding, and of course, my 3 other professional focuses, I've got plenty on my plate.
That's all you need.
Sounds like it. That's right.
Yeah. So let's talk actually about the other side of it. Hopefully tech gives back, and the work that you do for Community Bucket also brings you joy. But maybe you can just share a little bit. So you joined last fall-ish to run the Tech Gives Back program, and then continued this year as Tech Gives Back program manager. Can you tell our listeners just a little bit about what Tech Gives Back is and what you're specifically doing and focused on with it right now?
So Tech Gives Back is a program within Community Bucket, which is focused on connecting small to medium-sized tech companies in the Atlanta area to a lot of the CB's friends and partners. So really the same idea. CB is about connecting millennials in the city in general to smaller nonprofits, and Tech Gives Back is just same concept, but for smaller tech companies. For the same reason, because a lot of our partners in the Tech Gives Back community are internally focused. They are, some of them are literal startups with smaller teams, and they're very focused on getting off the ground, and they have the desire, the interest to be more involved in philanthropy opportunities, but may not have the knowledge of where to be and when and which organizations need help and in what capacity. So we're the ones who bridge that connection.
So since joining, Chris, maybe tell us about some of the cool projects. I know we had some donation drives last year, trivia, things like that. Tell our listeners what Tech Gives Back has been up to.
Sure, absolutely. The big challenge when I was brought on last August 2020, was how do we keep the tech community engaged with nonprofits without anyone showing up in person, right? Entirely through a webcam. And one of the first things we did was we worked with a local charter school called the International Community School, made up almost entirely of first-generation immigrant families. And their desire was for us to help to connect them to the tech community, help them raise money to pay for school supplies. And I thought, how can we tell this personal story to compel people to donate to support them without getting lost in all the other emails and other noise that's now been transposed into email because people can't meet anymore. And we found this tool called Loom, where you shoot videos just unrehearsed, just 90 seconds. Here's what's on my mind. Here's how to donate, etc. So I had the director at the school just shoot a totally unrehearsed video. She completely crushed it. We sent it out to the tech community. It clearly had an emotional impact because we far surpassed our goals. And in retrospect, looking back on that project, my German brain tends to get caught up and focused on the data, the numbers, did we make our quotas, et cetera. But then when she sent me a video of the children receiving their school supplies and saying, thank you, it finally hit me. Okay, really impacting lives here. This is sincerely meaningful. And I'm sharing this with everyone that helped because I think that human element is something that was missing from 2020, and it's also a really critical component of a philanthropy event. So
that's great.
Not just getting engagement up front, but also trying to make everyone feel like they made an impact on the back end.
Right. Yeah, and that's so important. Something that we always try to really focus on with our events is in the moment when people show up, helping them know why they're there, and then sharing that out at the end of the project or afterwards. We're, very much about impact first on our volunteering side. It's not just about showing up and doing something, but doing something with a purpose. So Chris, tell us, if you don't mind sharing the details about this next quarter. It should now be live and underway, but I know we'll be back to in person. So what's in store this month for Tech Gives Back?
Yes, absolutely. So we're really excited about Tech Gives Back second quarter because vaccines are on the way. It's warming up outside. It's looking beautiful. And the theme is Healing Earth. And second quarter has two components to it, all taking place in the month of May. The first is what we call Healing Earth Bingo, 3x3 bingo board. Each cell has its own roughly 10-minute to 1 hour eco-themed task. So it's not completely set in stone yet, but some ideas that we're playing with are support a composting restaurant or take this course on understanding how to measure toxicity levels in water, that sort of thing. And the second half of our second quarter initiatives is we are partnering with Chattahoochee Riverkeeper to do a river cleanup event on May 20th. And it's going to be, even though people over 16 can get a vaccine now, and not everyone can, so we're still going to be masked up. We're going to have sanitizers. CRK, Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, has been putting on safe events for the past 12 months, so we don't have major concerns on that front. And if you go on Chattahoochee Riverkeeper's site, you can see the literal piles of trash that they've pulled out of that river. So it's certainly going to be a measurable impact event. We are selling tickets for both initiatives through Eventbrite. The link is bit.ly/TGB Earth. So bit.ly/TGB Earth. So you can purchase tickets for bingo, for river cleanup, or both. We've designed it so it's easy for groups or for a point person at a company to sign up on behalf of a larger group. And you can email me with questions, chris@communitybucket.com.
Man, that's exact. I was going to say, how do we get a ticket? How do we get connected, Chris? So that's awesome because, we hope that a lot of folks will be like ready to gear up and get kind of back out in a safe way. And of course, if they don't, we have the bingo, which is an exciting opportunity as well. So we're really excited about this, and I'm glad you've been taking the lead for the past almost year. And so, we're thankful for that. And as we wrap up, I do have one more question for you, just because, of course, this podcast is called We Dig Community. So we try to end with the same kind of thing, what do you dig, Chris, in the scheme of things? What do you dig?
What do I dig? Within Community Bucket or just in life?
In life, in anything. The world is your oyster, shall I say?
Sure. I dig people who get their happiness from making other people happy.
Yeah.
Awesome
I'd
note
say
to
that's
end.
pretty good. Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, that's a great way to end it. I think that's a pretty good thing to dig. And we're just very thankful for your sharing today, and we're glad we could spend the time. And I hate to say that we have to wrap up, but we'll probably be talking more about Tech Gives Back in the future, and hopefully get some captains on here and that work with Chris, and some partners as well. So you'll stay tuned for that. And if you're interested, sign up for Tech Gives Back, and you'll get to hang out with Chris perhaps. Thank you all, and we will see you soon.